Hey, how's it going? It's Martin. So today I just want to talk to you about something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I think that it's really interesting. Just this whole concept of the best teachers tend to be the ones who just learned something, assuming that they've learned it properly. Okay. Now this isn't about teachers like teachers at school. It's teachers as in people who teach other people something. So like YouTube people, like someone like me, for instance, where I'm trying to teach you something that I just learned. I find that if you have been doing something or experiencing something for many, many years, and you could be considered an expert in it because you don't have to think about it anymore, it means that you might be a slightly less effective teacher at it than someone who has just grasped the concept and completely has an understanding around it. So the reason that I say this is, let me give you an example, a quick story. So this is back when I was in college. I was in a music class, and we were talking about recording and how recording worked. And the professor was talking about the idea of how they would record multiple instruments in a recording room, and then how you can go in later and add additional instruments at separate times. And a student asked an interesting question. She said, well, how would you be able to record another instrument? How would they be able to play with the rest of the band if the rest of the band wasn't there? And how would you be able to record the sound quality really good and then line it up perfectly? And the professor started talking about the whole idea of metronomes and using the counters and how they can follow along in the music sheet and all of that. But they neglected to mention the very, very simple and most base level answer to that question, which is the person who's coming in and recording at a separate time would use headphones to listen to the rest of the group play so that they can keep up with them. And the headphones would block out the noise so that the microphone doesn't pick up any other sound besides the instrument that they're playing. So that idea, that concept got me thinking that maybe because I had just learned about this recently and I knew the answer to the question that she was seeking was headphones, was the answer. But the professor never even thought that. They wouldn't have even considered it because they've been in the industry so long that that's just a standard day-to-day thing. Nobody ever goes into a recording booth without headphones on. And the student wasn't thinking about that because they had no experience, so they didn't even realize that. And that just, a whole concept got me thinking that I find that the best teachers can sometimes be the ones who just learned a concept and just wrap their heads around it. So just kind of bear that in mind. If you're going online sometimes and you can't find answers to a question that seems so simplistic and basic, like I was trying to buy curtains recently. This was just yesterday or the day before. I was at our Midtown studio buying curtains to put up on the wall, and I went to Home Depot, and I'm asking the lady, how do I mount the curtains to the wall, because there's only a wall and I need I don't have tension, like a space to put, and I only use tension rods. I didn't even know how regular curtains worked. And she's showing me this long rod, and I'm like, well, how does this attach to the wall? Like, I don't get it. Like, what am I going to do? And she's like, oh, well, there's brackets. I'm like, oh, okay. And it was just this really funny moment of me being so stupid, or you could use the better word, so ignorant, not knowing that a curtain rod needs brackets. But it took me asking the lady 4 or 5 times before she figured out that my question was so basic that she had to give the answer brackets. she was trying to give me all these other answers, like, oh, well, you're going to want to connect it like this, and you have this, and it extends outward, and you have to slide the curtain. I'm like, I don't understand, though. And so finally, the answer brackets came up, and it just kind of got me thinking about that idea again, that the best teachers can be the ones who just learn something, because the concepts that need to be taught are so basic when you're starting out. You can learn the most advanced stuff. Like, I could talk to you about bodybuilding and weightlifting. You might look at me and be like, oh, I'm super skinny. I mean, I'm in decent shape, and I've learned a lot of things recently about how the body works. And I'm not going to talk about this in this video. I'll do another one. But essentially, like bodybuilding, you could look up and be like, oh, I need to do periodized training, and I need to do things like, supersets and drop sets and all these advanced weightlifting techniques. Those advanced techniques are for people who've been training for like 3 or 4 years at minimum. What you want to do is stick to the basics, the really simple stuff. That's going to give you the biggest results. And the best people to teach you the most simplistic stuff are usually the people who just learned it for themselves. Like with weightlifting, heavy compound weight training, doing your standard bench press, shoulder press, deadlifts, and squats. Those 4 things, if you just stick to those and you lift in the heaviest range, like 4 to 6 reps or 3 to 5 reps, you will see way more results than if you start doing all this advanced stuff and doing machine isolation training and everything. You have to focus on the simplest, most basic level things that no one even who's advanced thinks to teach you. So think about that when you're going through. Don't look for the complex stuff. Look for the simple stuff and try to get to that base level answer. Apply that first, and only then, once you've got the basic, once you've got your brackets up, only then can you start looking at the more minute little things that go into it. All right? Keep that in mind whenever you're dealing with stuff in life. The basics come first, and then you build on that with the more complex stuff. As always, please subscribe, leave a comment below, and live with purpose.